Welcome to the Oasis. My name's Mike, and today I just want to talk about the news that Oculus announced this week that a Facebook account will be required to use an Oculus VR headset in the future. Now, I'm sure there'll be many people talking about this sensationally, so I'm going to try and talk about this objectively as I can by talking about how this all started, where we're at right now, the facts about the policy changes, my personal opinion on it, and what I think this means for the future. Of course, feel free to share your own thoughts in the comments down below, but let's try and keep this civil, and please don't shoot the messenger, and let's just try and have a grown-up conversation about this. So without further ado, let's dive in. So let's go back to where this all started. Now, Oculus was originally founded back in 2012 by Palmer Luckey, Brendan Arieb, Nate Mitchell, Michael Antonov, and Andrew Scott Reese. Their plan was to reignite the interest in virtual reality after numerous companies had tried and failed before them. They launched an incredibly successful Kickstarter campaign with their first virtual reality headset aimed at developers, which was the Oculus Rift DK1. Fast forward to 2014, and Oculus was acquired by Facebook for a cool $2 billion. At the time, the early VR community were pretty upset about the buyout as they believed that Facebook would do more harm than good with the technology and the Oculus brand. Palmer Luckey back then reassured the VR community and stated in a Reddit post, "I guarantee that you won't need to log into your Facebook account every time you want to use the Oculus Rift." Fast forward 6 years, and this week, Oculus and Facebook are saying that a Facebook account will be required to use Oculus VR headsets in the future. Now, Palmer himself addressed this broken promise in a post on Reddit this week, and to be fair to him, this is something now completely out of his control, as I'm sure that if he was still with the company, he would be continuing to fight for an open platform. So what does this actually mean for all of us? Well, it means that in October 2020, everyone using an Oculus device for the first time will need to log in with a Facebook account. If, like me and many of you out there, if you're an existing user and already have an Oculus account, you have the option to log in with Facebook and merge your Oculus and Facebook accounts. Now, if you're an existing user and choose not to merge your Oculus and Facebook accounts, you can continue to use your Oculus account for 2 more years. Then, after January the 1st, 2023, Oculus will end support for Oculus accounts. If you choose not to merge your accounts at that time, you can continue to use your existing device, but full functionality will require a Facebook account. Now, Oculus have said that they will take steps to allow you to keep using content you have purchased, though some games and apps may no longer work. This could be because they require a Facebook account, or because a developer has chosen to no longer support the app or game. And this final point is an important one to know. All future Oculus devices will require a Facebook account, and this is regardless of whether you have a current Oculus ID or not, and this includes the rumored next Oculus Quest. Now, their reasoning for this Facebook account requirement is that giving people a single way to log into Oculus using their Facebook account and password will make it easier to find, connect, and play with friends in VR. Now, Facebook integration into Oculus products isn't something necessarily new, and it began a little while ago with features like chat, parties, and apps like Oculus Venues. And certainly when Horizon was announced, we all suspected that a Facebook account would be required for that, and I guess Oculus just wants that integration with Horizon and these other social apps to be as seamless as possible for users in the future. And I can kind of see it from Oculus and Facebook's point of view. Building experiences like Horizon and using these two separate account systems doesn't really make much sense going forward. For example, Apple iPhones are an Apple product that require an Apple ID. An Xbox is a Microsoft product that requires a Microsoft account. I could go on, but you get my point. Oculus headsets are a Facebook product, and a Facebook account will be required in the future. Does this mean that you have to use Facebook as a social media platform? No, of course not. But you will need to at least have a profile with the bare minimum data provided. So why are some people so upset about this? Well, you have a few groups of people in my mind. You have the hardcore VR community who have been supporting Oculus from the beginning, who are upset because they feel like Oculus and Facebook have gone back on their word, which I totally understand. You then have people concerned about their data and privacy, and let's be honest, Facebook doesn't have a great reputation in the public eye of handling the data they collect, so people being concerned about their data and privacy is also a valid response. And then finally, you have the people that just don't like Facebook and don't want to create a Facebook account, and that's fine too. I have no doubt in my mind that this announcement will turn some people away from the Oculus platform, or some will look to circumvent the system, but I'll talk more about that shortly. But firstly, let's talk about some positives about this move, and one of the big pros, in my opinion, is identity. For a true metaverse to work, identity is important. And I'm not just talking about a social network, I'm talking about the long-term vision of use cases such as education and remote working. If everyone was anonymous, it would just be total chaos. People would freely harass other users, and it would create a toxic environment that no one would want to use. Ultimately, what we want is a virtual space where people can safely play, connect, learn, and work together. Another pro, in my opinion, is having multiple accounts tied to one device, which was mentioned in the official blog post. This means that if you share a single headset with your family, each person can have their own individual login with their own games and own saved data. But what about me personally? Well, quite honestly, it doesn't bother me that much, as I linked my Facebook account to my Oculus account a long time ago, and I very rarely use my personal Facebook account. The last time I posted on my personal page was over 3 years ago, and I generally just use the platform for keeping in touch with friends and family using Facebook Messenger. Also, it would be kinda hypocritical of me to complain about privacy when I post and share so much about myself online. But an interesting question to talk about is, why make this announcement now? Well, Oculus Connect, if the rumors are to be believed, is just a few weeks away, and it's likely there that the next Oculus headset and new social platform Horizon will be announced, and this news seems to be a bit of damage limitation. The news of a Facebook account being required in the future for these devices and social platforms would have likely dominated headlines if announced during the event, taking the spotlight away from the actual products themselves, so doing this in advance gives everyone time to talk about it now and understand the situation going forward before the new products are announced. Don't think for one second that Facebook and Oculus didn't know that some of the community would react in a negative way, but I do think the announcement could have been handled better on behalf of Oculus and Facebook. They should really learn from companies like Nintendo, who have a face of the company that the community can trust to deliver important updates like this in a clear and transparent way that negates a lot of confusion and negativity. But sadly, we just don't have that right now. I've seen a lot of responses from people saying they're gonna switch to another VR headset or create a fake Facebook account, so let's talk about that. Firstly, the problem with creating a fake Facebook account is that you would be breaking Facebook's terms and conditions and would run the risk that if Facebook found out that your account was fake, that it could be deleted, which could potentially lock you out of your headset, and worse, you could lose your game library. So I certainly wouldn't recommend that as an option going forward. I just want to say also that whether you like it or not, you can create a Facebook account providing no more data than that was required in creating your Oculus account, and ultimately there is no difference between the two as the data is still going to the same company. Just want to throw that out there. But also, it was confirmed that if you don't want to display your real name in VR in the future, that you don't have to, and you can continue to use a separate username if you wish. In terms of alternative headsets, of course there's plenty of great options on the PC platform with headsets from HP, HTC, and Valve, but with standalone there just is no alternative to the Quest right now, and that's where the market is rapidly accelerating. I've mentioned it many times before that competition for the Quest is really important moving forward, as it drives innovation and also gives consumers a choice. Now maybe if a company can pull it off and make an open platform around a standalone headset, it could thrive, but this is a lot easier said than done. Looking into the future though, it's clear Facebook and Oculus are looking to deliver VR beyond the enthusiast and gaming communities who are the most vocal about this move and want to bring it to an even bigger and broader audience of people who likely just won't care about using a Facebook account to log into a headset. Now we all know that Mark Zuckerberg's goal is to have 1 billion people in VR, and this is just another step to make that possible. Oculus have pushed VR further than most companies out there due to their continued investment in research and development and funding big VR games, so whether you love or hate Facebook, the VR industry just wouldn't be where it is now without them. As long as Facebook and Oculus are crystal clear with how any data collected is being used, and this is continuously updated along with new emerging technologies such as eye tracking, for example, then personally I don't have a problem with it. Oculus did provide some examples of how they'll use your data in the official blog post if you want to read up on it, and I've provided a link to that in the description down below. But moving forward, I'll be sure to mention in any future videos that a Facebook account will be required when talking about these new headsets, as I do believe it is important that consumers know about this when buying a headset. I do hope that it's clearly stated on the box of any upcoming products, as in my mind it would be like buying a TV that only works with a Netflix account and not displaying that on the box. So hopefully things are a bit clearer in the future and customers can make an informed decision, but I guess we'll find out in the coming months. So that is the news that a Facebook account will be required in the future to use Oculus VR headsets. It seems that some games and experiences will work without a Facebook account if you already have a headset and an Oculus ID set up, but particularly online games and experiences after 2023 will need a Facebook account. And also, just to reiterate, any new headsets from this point, including the rumored next Oculus Quest, will require a Facebook account, regardless of whether you have an Oculus ID currently or not. So ultimately, does this change my personal stance on the Oculus platform? No, personally it doesn't bother me that much, and I'll continue to use the Quest, Rift S, and any future Oculus VR headset. I do wonder how many people actually care about this move, or if it's just people in my VR bubble that are talking about this so passionately. And that's why you should let me know what this means to you in the comments down below. Are you surprised about this announcement? Will you ditch the Oculus platform due to this requirement? Will you reluctantly make a Facebook account to use their headsets in the future? Or you're like me and you just don't really care that much and you have no problem using a Facebook account? Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like if you found the video useful and informative, and make sure you're subscribed for all my future content. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.